Today, I want to talk about something that I see is really prevalent, and it's something that I struggle with in myself, and I've been working through for many, many years, and I continue to peel layers away at people pleasing versus authenticity. I find that the more layers that I peel away of this cultural conditioning, this socializing that we've been conditioned to focus on everyone else's happiness instead of our own, progressively it becomes more authentic over time. And just because somebody is conditioned to be more of a people pleaser, a lot of these things, circumstances can come from trauma. These things can come from our upbringing. They can come from being a part of a marginalized group in a society. So give yourself some grace, cut yourself some slack, because it's worth it. It's worth it to really look at these pieces of what is preventing me from being my most authentic, powerful, badass self. So, yes, you think that always saying yes all the time makes you lovable. And who is that really serving? Because shrinking only keeps you safe around other people who are perceiving you as approachable or agreeable because of that self-shrinking and that self-silencing. So I just want to talk about a few different components that I have seen as far as releasing these layers of conditioning or people-pleasing, as one would say. The first component, I'm going to call it the chameleon, which is when we're constantly changing our opinions to match other people. So this could show up as, instead of listening to your gut instincts, your intuition, your feeling, whatever you're feeling about this choice that you have to make. Let's say you have to make a choice. You have to make a choice between different paths that you're going to take. And instead of listening to your authentic self, you're consulting your therapist, your friends, your family, your mom, all the people around you, instead of consulting yourself. What is best for you authentically? What is best for you that you know deep down, regardless of what all the people around you are trying to say? So this aspect, you know you're healing this when you stop consulting all the people around you and start consulting yourself for your decisions going forward. The second layer is something we're going to call the martyr, sacrificing yourself, constantly bowing down to other people and putting their needs before your own. This is kind of an externalized focus. It's when we're focusing on all of the people, individuals, experiences outside of us that sometimes we get caught up in this when we're really sensitive to energy and we're like, oh, I picked up on this energy. I'm feeling this person's energy. And it's this very external focus because you're so focused on what's going on with other people. So the best way to remedy this is to really re-attention and redirect yourself back to, what do I need in this moment that I'm trying to give these people around me, that I'm trying to look out for my friends, my family, my coworkers, my boss, my people around me? What am I missing? The third component is the ghost. This is when you completely eliminate your boundaries in order to keep the peace. But as we all know, that always backfires because trying to keep the peace outside of you does not maintain the peace within you. And so by not holding to your boundaries, you have an internal conflict. And boundaries are always more complicated than we think, because the first half of boundaries is actually setting the boundary. The second component and the other half of the boundary is holding the boundary. And some would say that is an even more challenging aspect, because it's one thing to set a boundary, but another to stick to it. And so by releasing this aspect that we refer to as the ghost, you're choosing the boundary regardless of outcome. This may result in a conflict. This may result in disappointing someone and hurting somebody's feelings, but it's making peace with that. Somebody's going to get disappointed in this situation, in this circumstance. So are you going to disappoint another person, or are you going to continually choose to disappoint yourself? Because honestly, at the end of the day, you deserve better than that. Because these layers, these aspects, these components that are around us, it feels like it's somehow protecting us. Because if I transform myself to be whatever this person needs me to be, it may protect me from them rejecting me or them not accepting me for who I am as I am. But the only acceptance that matters is yours. That is the only acceptance that really truly matters. So as these layers start to come off, as you start to listen to what your instinct, your intuition, your inner voice is saying, these layers will start to come off. And sometimes that's exploring sexuality. That's sometimes observing internalized homophobia, internalized misogyny, internalized racism. That's observing these conditionings, these methods of people pleasing that are preventing us from being in our own authentic energy. And sometimes you have to take a moment and actually be in your own energy, because when you let yourself be quiet, and I know a lot of people struggle with this, actually sitting with the quiet, because all the thoughts are going to come, all the different fears and emotions, but it's a practice, and it's not something you have to do perfectly, and it's not something you have to do 24/7. It's something that you do little by little, piece by piece, poco a poco, as we say, little by little. Allowing yourself to be in your own authentic energy. What does that feel like? What does my home frequency feel like? When I'm not listening to other people's opinions, or I'm listening to music, or I'm being exposed to all these different influences around me, what does my own authentic energy feel like? Because me, when I sit in my own authentic energy, I have this little dancing happy kid. And she doesn't have shoelaces in her shoes, and she likes pockets on her shirts, and she just likes to dance around. And that's my own authentic energy. It's like, yeah, just this little kid that's happy. And granted, I've done a lot of inner child work to get to this relationship with her where she can be in that place. But the question still comes. What do I need to accept to allow myself to be authentic? What do I need to understand? Because sometimes just affirming it opens the door. I allow myself to release what needs to be released in order for me to be authentic. I allow myself to observe and to see. I allow myself the clarity I need to see where I am people pleasing, where I am focusing all of my attention and energy on others' happiness and not my own. So this could look like a tentative, regular practice. Be gentle with yourself. If you don't check in with yourself every day, that's okay. Because you're human. We come here to make mistakes. Be gentle with yourself. But just taking a minute, especially when it comes to decisions. Is this in alignment with my most authentic self? Is this in alignment with the version of me that I want to line up with and become? Or is this in alignment with the version of me that I want to leave behind and I want to say thank you and let go of? I give myself permission to get out of my own way. I give myself permission to get out of my own way, especially with regards to my intuition. I have this little tiny feeling, and I keep getting the same feeling over and over again. But the other people around me aren't necessarily agreeing with that little tiny feeling. But time and time again, that little tiny feeling, you look back, hindsight is 20/20, and that little tiny feeling was trying to tell you something. And instead, you were listening to all the people around you, all their opinions and all their perspectives and all their projections. Because at the end of the day, honestly, most of people's opinions are just projections, because they're reflecting to you, they're sharing with you all of their experiences. And there's nothing wrong with that inherently. But it matters when their perspective matters more than your own. So if you have that little intuitive whisper, if you have that gut instinct, your gut is telling you something, to go with it, go for it, because it aligns with you, it feels right to you, it feels like your best, truest self, it's the version of you that you really actually want to be. It's a lot of little choices. It's 1,000 little baby steps. Don't look up at the whole freaking mountain of authenticity, because there's a lot of steps there. But if you look down and you focus on the next step, what am I doing for myself today to take care of me, to be authentically me? That is the question. And I will always want to remind you that your limitless potential creates infinite possibilities.